hear me? They are already looking for you.
It's no secret that the entertainment world has rediscovered something of an affinity for the cyberpunk world of late. Blade Runner 2049 might have bombed, but its aesthetics have shaped a contemporary renaissance of sorts, and of course there's a certain cyberpunk RPG on the way that has everyone quite excited. Perhaps it's inevitable that storytellers would find fertile ground in flashy late capitalist cityscapes as our world shifts towards a predominantly digital consciousness. One More Level's Ghostrunner doesn't capitalise on those rich nuances found in the greatest cyberpunk works, instead opting for a relentless power fantasy that greatly emphasises the necessity of movement in a world ripped apart by conflict and grotesque biological experimentation. Blending together blindingly fast traversal with extraordinarily lethal combat, Ghostrunner leaves no margin for error nor room for careful deliberation. Everything is instinctual. Like everyone else in its broken neon dystopia, you only exist to stay alive. This ethos is noticeable from the get-go, as Ghostrunner drops you into proceedings without anything close to exposition or character introductions. All dialogue is delivered during gameplay, and aside from boot-up cinematic and its closing moments, there are no cinematics. Everything about Ghostrunner's design intends to put you into the action as fast as possible, from the arena-like level design to the absence of loading screens upon respawning. This is ultimately for the best, as Ghostrunner flails most in its storytelling. Whilst the tower is an engaging backdrop, the idea of a skyscraper as a microcosmic society is familiar and largely feels lifeless. Aside from enemies, there aren't any civilians to speak of, and even though the narrative attempts to excuse this on multiple occasions, it's difficult not to feel their absence, particularly in more open stages. There's plenty of historical information, courtesy of your AI assistant, the Architect, covering underground resistance movements, horrendous poverty, and advanced robotics, but very little tangible evidence of this ever existing in the world, aside from vandalized billboards or striking enemy designs.
There were variations in the design. Didn't matter in the end.
As you're always on the move, however, the weak writing never feels intrusive, allowing Ghostrunner's stellar gameplay to shine. As the Ghostrunner, a cyborg ninja armed with a katana and a body capable of blisteringly fast movement, the player is frequently placed either in traversal or combat challenges throughout a variety of environments. Whether wall running or hopping across gaps with a grappling hook, Ghostrunner makes constant movement mandatory, especially as the player only needs to take one hit before meeting the red death screen. Thankfully, the same logic applies to the enemies, who all besides bosses can be killed with one slice of the katana. Once players blend attacks into their movement patterns, the results can be amazing, with spontaneous combat encounters looking so graceful and smooth they appear precisely choreographed. As players progress through Ghostrunner's 6 or so hour campaign, they'll enter the Cyber Void, a digital dimension of network matrices and virtual vistas that also house special abilities. These abilities are charged with focus, which builds up with every kill and persists after death, ranging from teleportation to telekinetic blasts capable of taking out small groups. While certain abilities can easily become crutches, one level does a fantastic job of frequently introducing fresh powers and encouraging players to experiment. This carries over to its unusual but brilliant upgrade system, wherein skills are represented as blocks in the Ghostrunner's mainframe, with more slots opening up as new upgrades are unlocked. Not too dissimilar from Tetris, the upgrade system allows for a whole host of intriguing combinations, whilst also forcing players to carefully shape their skill set, whether it be focused more on mobility, skills, or raw attack power. Furthermore, the fewer skills players select, the faster focus charges, introducing yet another variable, opening up more possibilities for casual players and speedrunners alike. Ghostrunner constantly keeps players on their feet thanks to its spectacular variety. Every single one of its 17 stages boasts new environments, obstacles, or enemy types to contend with, ensuring that you never get too comfortable with its systems before it throws a new challenge your way. Some earlier examples of this include limited time shurikens, timed slowdown, or fellow katana wielding enemies requiring precise timing to parry and kill. As each level is designed with fast traversal in mind, it's incredibly tempting to revisit them and smooth down your times. There's even a leaderboard for each stage in the menu to accommodate this. Upon visiting the Cyber Void, however, things get a little less smooth, as Ghostrunner falls back on rote puzzles like connecting pipes to reroute power, or pushing blocks together to create a pattern that dramatically slows the game down. In these segments you can't dash, wall run, or use your mid-air sensory boost that briefly slows down time, making them even more lethargic. To one level's credit, puzzles are never repeated, ensuring that even these segments feel surprising and fresh, but I couldn't help feeling they brought the game to a grinding halt on several occasions. For the majority of its runtime, however, Ghostrunner is gleefully entertaining. There are video games that offer emotional narratives or immerse players in rich worlds. Ghostrunner is a total power fantasy and rarely pretends to be anything but. For fans of Mirror's Edge or Titanfall, its heavy emphasis on parkour will delight, and its bloody, brutal combat is constantly satisfying. On my 1070 at high settings, Ghostrunner largely ran at a locked 144 FPS, which is absolutely the way to experience this game if possible, thanks to a harmony of gorgeous visuals and gameplay that demands low latency input. Whilst I never connected much with Ghostrunner's setting nor its stakes, I was completely invested in its moment-to-moment gameplay. Few titles this year provided the adrenaline rush Ghostrunner did when I harnessed the blade and mastered its environments. It's a game that expects everything from you, but is immensely rewarding in turn. The future looks bleak, bloody and brutal, but in Ghostrunner's case, I wouldn't have it any other way.